Yes, hello.
Jason, hi. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
I can hear you fine. I just can't see you.
Oh, well, don't worry. You don't need to see me particularly. I'm here. Can you bet
Okay.
that? I can see you. You're by a green wall.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I think unless. Oh, hold it. No, no. I seem to just be audio. Sorry, not video.
That's fine.
But that's okay. Where are you?
I'm in Tucson right now,
Oh, right.
but this is for the Phoenix New Times.
All right. Whereabouts in Tucson are you?
I'm right south of downtown, by right down the street from Hotel Congress.
Oh, okay. I know it fairly well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll turn off my video too.
Do, but as long as we can hear each other, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well, oh, I don't know how to do it. That's all right. I'll just there, I blurred it. All right.
okay. Now you're in focus, but the background is blurred. Yeah.
Right. Um, all right. Shall we get started?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, Robyn, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview today.
Oh,
Every
you're welcome.
every time I listen to one of your albums, I am amused and engaged, and I really appreciate that about you.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
what inspired this current tour? Is there a theme or motivation behind it, even without a new album release?
No, like most musicians, I'm just on tour all the time because um, it's a guaranteed way of making some kind of money. But additionally, it's also what I do best. So I have been doing this for nearly 50 years now. I've been touring the States for 40 years. Um, I, I'm I'm good at it. I mean, not
Sure.
not wish
I can
to,
vouch for that. I've
to
seen you a number
brag,
of
but
times.
I've got better at it. I always had an aptitude for it, but over the years, even if I'm losing the range from the top of my voice or I don't look so good from certain angles as I did 30 years ago, um, I think the show I put on is better.
Great.
Um, and I think also my audience has grown up or grown old with me. A lot of people who come and see me now were coming to see me 30 years ago. I mean, they can still just about stand, but that obviously there's going to come a time when that won't happen. But I'll probably be gone by then. Um, so there's a sort of connection. I don't have to explain myself. I turn up and they feel that they know enough about the previous chapters of my existence that I can unleash whatever I'm doing now and they'll enjoy it.
Right. Well, what material will you be drawing from at the Phoenix show?
Well, I'm actually very much an oldies act at the moment now. I've been watching people like Graham Nash and Paul McCartney, people who've been around for ages. I mean, obviously, they operate at a much bigger level than I do. Certainly, McCartney does, but it's the same principle, really. Um, so I play a lot of material from the 1980s, my radio days,
Uh-huh.
and I intercut it with a bit of more recent stuff. But I also take requests. So people send in requests by various social media. It fits in there and drips in there. And my wife Emma, who is usually there running the merch stall, in addition to joining me on harmonies, and who is moreover about to start her own first tour of the States. Emma um, texts me in the dressing room with what people request. So some shows, it's almost entirely made up of requests.
And how do people know how to request you a song for you?
Well, Emma probably just says, "Have you got any requests?" I don't know what they're, they're kind of on the grapevine, so they know how to do it. I mean, we tend to trail the shows on Instagram and all the rest of it, so people who are coming have quite a lot of warning. That
Okay.
said, I haven't had many requests in from Phoenix yet, but it's another couple of weeks. What's it? Oh no, it's
Uh,
only 9 days to go.
9 days, yeah.
Mm.
You've played Phoenix before a number of times. What do you like to do when you're there?
Oh, I like to do the show and then I go down to Tucson. Um, I mean, I'm more of a Tucson guy. I don't. Phoenix is huge, and it has so many kind of subsections that I don't really have much sense of it. Whereas, uh, because Tucson to me is sort of centered around Congress and David Slutes and um, Curtis McCrary, who I think is back in that area. And do you know them?
I do know them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think Curtis is in Tucson anymore.
Well, he went. You might think, but he was the guy who I first met. Curtis. He was booking Congress, then he booked the Rialto, and then he moved um, to Dallas. But I believe he's involved in something in Tucson. But I don't know. Maybe you don't quote me. I don't know. I get the impression he's still quite. I think he's got a lot of tendrils in Tucson still.
Yeah, I don't
And I
know. I
think
haven't heard anything about him in years, so I assume he's gone. But anyway, um, Phoenix has changed. There are some focused artsy music areas now
oh
that didn't
really?
exist. Yeah, so it's might be worth exploring.
Well, I'll stick around a bit longer next time, or if I'm in Tucson, I'll come up. I mean, I just have a sort of history with Tucson. I used to go and stay there a lot, um, and I've got a few friends uh, in there still. So I mean, it's just smaller. But where do you live?
Well, I'm currently in my house in Tucson, but I'm planning to
Yeah.
move to Phoenix.
Oh,
Um,
right. Okay.
yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in Phoenix lately and really enjoying it.
Oh,
Um,
right.
yeah,
Where are you from originally?
Phoenix.
Oh, okay. So it's very much a kind of either or for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Presently, though, I think I'd rather be in Phoenix.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, good to know. I mean, it's Arizona. They're not that very far. They're not that far apart. They're
No, it's
kind of the same altitude. Um, but I mean, I haven't even played Phoenix for 5 years or so. 6 years, I don't think. Not since the pandemic.
okay. Well, I would recommend checking out, like maybe the Roosevelt Row area.
Uh-huh. Oh, all right. Well, I will do that when I have. I may. Don't know how much time I'll have because we have to go back to LA to record.
Okay.
Um, yeah. There's a lot going on.
All right. Well, I'm sure there is. You're a busy guy and you're on tour right now. Um,
Yes, I seem to be. Is Roosevelt Road? Where is Roosevelt Road? Is it in Scottsdale or?
no, it's right downtown Phoenix.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They just have a lot of you know, bars and restaurants that cater to kind of a hipster crowd.
Oh, it's a Groover Strip.
It's a groovy street. Yeah.
What I call a Groover Strip, like Fourth Avenue in Tucson. They
Yeah.
because they've got the tattoo parlors and the telegraph poles with staples in.
Yes, and speakeasies and
Oh, right.
right. So yeah.
Record shops.
Could, uh no, I don't think so. I
Oh,
think those are disappearing all over the place.
um, they are record shops. Record stores and bookshops are two general very good hallmarks of a Groover Strip, along with the tattoo parlor.
Yes.
Um, and,
Yeah, and
and
there you're right. There is one in Tucson on Congress Street called Wooden Tooth.
that figures. Yes, yes. Boy, my mind is filling up with old streetcars. Yeah.
All right. Well, last year you released your memoir, 1967, How I Got There and Why I Never Left, about
Oh,
growing up
yeah.
in boarding school during that critical year in music history. Did writing 1967 spark a desire to write more prose, or was that just a one-time venture?
Um, I enjoyed it, I've been writing more prose lately. I think because I've reached that stage where um, I've been around so long that I won't be around much longer, and if I am, I probably won't be very coherent. So I'm trying to download my recollections while I still can, and I suppose while I can enjoy people's reactions to them. So 1967, if I had to pick one thing to write about that I've lived through, it would be 1967, and I've done that now. So there's nowhere really to go after that. I mean, not to go upwards. There's, it's all been downhill ever since. So
Well, you've got your whole career to draw from.
yeah, well, my career's just been a sort of, it's a downward graph, both for me and the world, really. I mean, for the world more than me. I've been incredibly lucky. But see, writing about my career isn't necessarily very interesting. It's it's the kind of things people want to know are not the kind of things I can say. Um, and the boring bits are kind of boring, really. So writing about being a touring musician or a recording musician, or even a schmoozing musician or a intoxicated musician, or all those things have been written about already. Whereas not many people were at this strange boarding school in 1967, where Brian Eno happened to be at the local art school and dropping in to organize happenings. That's a very unique world. And so I just have to kind of think about what I write stuff down all the time. I just wrote a little kind of fantasy memoir of LA for Substack. If you if you go on my Substack, there's lots of little pieces about stuff that are semi-autobiographical.
Uh-huh.
And but to me, how old are you?
59.
Okay, so you were born in 65 or 66?
Yes, 65, late
Yeah.
65.
Um, I think to me everything peaked in 1967, and it just kind of rolled downhill from there, and I became a professional musician. But to
You,
me, the music I really loved was all in the past already, and so I mean that may be my problem that I see things like that. But to me, the whole thing was a sort of has been a kind of downward spiral, really. I mean, there's fantastic things have happened. We've had big advances in laser surgery, artisanal coffee, gluten-free bread. All there've been lots of sort of things to enhance the quality of life. And yet people seem to be as paranoid and distracted as ever and bombarded with stimuli in every direction. We're about to merge I suspect physically with our phones, we're replacing ourselves with artificial intelligence, just as intelligence itself is virtually outlawed by people like this administration. Um, I mean, either the machines will save us or finish us off. So you look back to 67, it just seems like a bit of a dream, you know, apart from the escalation in Vietnam over here. It certainly was a dream in Britain. Um, and So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
it does seem like a fantastic period, you know. I mean, I have books on, 67 and the late 60s and
yeah, yeah,
love the music of that period.
yeah.
So, if you were to perform for a room full of your heroes from 1967, like John Lennon, Syd Barrett,
Yeah.
members of the Small Faces, Ray Davies,
Oh, yeah,
what
yeah.
song would you open with?
Of
Which song of
mine or
yours? Of
of
yours?
theirs?
Of yours?
Oh, um, I don't know. I might open with 1974, which is about 1974, by which time, in my mind, the rot had truly set in. But, you know, I mean, it even mentions Sid Barrett. Uh, I mean, I don't think that my musical heroes would necessarily like what I do, um, because to them it probably just seems like a kind of watered down version of what they did. I don't know. You know, I wonder how many musicians wonder what John Lennon would have thought of their songs. You know, gosh, who knows? Great thought.
Well, have you ever performed for anybody from that era, like, Paul McCartney or
Uh,
some?
I no, I've never done a command performance for Sir Paul. No, no. I think the only person from that era that I played with is Al Cooper, who played on Blonde and Like a Rolling Stone. He kind of came to fame as one of Bob Dylan's sidemen,
Right.
and he played with me on my birthday in Boston about uh, a few years ago. But I've never serenaded my heroes. No.
All right. You've released a couple singles with your wife, Emma Stone. Are
Emma
there,
Swift. Emma
or
Swift. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Emma Swift, not the actress.
Yeah.
Uh, have you ever thought about a full length collaboration with her?
Well, it's funny you should say that. That's actually kind of what we're working on now.
Oh,
So hopefully what we've put down so far sounds good, I think. Um, I mean, Emma's a real singer. She's a really good singer. She and whereas I kind of I sing because I write songs. I don't think of myself as having a particularly nice voice, but I always wanted to be a songwriter. And I've managed to make a living as a songwriter, but I wouldn't sort of point to me as I think I'm a great performer, but I'm not a particularly great singer. I've got a rather thin, peevish voice. Um, so we're recording with Emma. That raises the bar. I really have to try harder to sing as well as I can, you know. So I think but we've both got good, strong voices. We're both lead vocalists. So I think the album's going to sound quite forceful, which will be nice.
will she be joining you on stage at the Mim?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Emma, Emma works hard and multitasks in a way that I could only dream of. Um, in my kind of monorail way, she runs the merch and she also joins me for the last third of the show on harmonies. Um, and uh, and she deals with a lot of, and she, you know, she runs the record label.
Right.
Everything we put out now is through Tiny Ghost, which is basically Emma's label. So she has a new album, The Resurrection Game, which is coming out this summer, and in fact, she's about to do her first gig with her band this evening, opening for me here in LA. So that's quite exciting. And then we've got the Soft Boys' second album, Underwater Moonlight, is coming out. And then we've got some more re-releases of mine, and we've got our joint album and stuff. So, we're an incredibly busy little hive.
Sure. Uh, you've mentioned not owning a laptop, which is unusual these days. Is that a conscious stand, a lifestyle choice, or just habit?
I had a laptop a while ago, but I found that actually it's just easier to carry around a phone. This is my first Zoom phone interview. Maybe that's why you can't see me. But I wrote my book on the phone.
Right.
I mean, I'm completely internet dependent like everybody else, but I'd rather just have a phone and do it that way.
Typing with your thumbs?
No, I do it all with my index finger. I,
Okay.
I don't even write with. I wrote that whole book with my index finger. If I lost the use of that, I'd have to train another finger to write with.
Well, you've cited the Beatles and Sid Barrett as well as other important acts from your memoir, 1967,
Oh yeah, yeah.
as influences. But are there any modern artists that have influenced you or turned you on?
Not that have influenced me. I think because I think I'm just too old, really. But I mean, I like Father John Misty is a terrific songwriter and performer. We saw him in Nashville, and I like people like, I suppose they're younger. They're not new really, but people like Cass McCombs, I think, is a very interesting artist. And people like Sharon Van Etten and Nico Case, I enjoy listening to them.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say they've influenced me, but uh, they're certainly way younger than I am. So I often hear things in coffee shops, and I go, "That's great," and I Shazam it, and I take a photo of who the act is, and I even look them up. But then I just don't do anything about it. I think I kind of reached a memory almost full about 30 years ago or so, around the time of Britpop, where I just found it really impossible to absorb anything, or very much. Um, and so there's people I listen to, but they don't. It's a bit like rain falling or something. Maybe it just takes the rain the rain falls on the mountain and it takes about 50 years to come out the others, as filtered water or something. Maybe it just takes so long for things to filter through me now. Whereas when I was 14, it just went straight in and then came out again, as it were.
You've been making music for over 45 years. Are there particular eras of your career that you feel are misunderstood or underappreciated?
I think the stuff I did in my 40s probably missed the mark a lot, but I don't think being in your 40s is a good time for a rock musician. Even people like Bob Dylan and Paul McCartney were in the doldrums in their 40s. They weren't young anymore. When you're 40s, you're not fresh. You're not young, but you're not yet a heritage artist. If you can make it into your 50s or beyond, people start to appreciate you because you've been around a long time. So my career probably picked up a fair bit in the sort of second decade of this century. Yeah. as I sort of
That
got
would have
from
been the 90s. That was your slow period.
probably, I mean, I was still on a major label, but I think once about 93, once I left A&M, I did a couple of records for Warner's, but I don't think they got to that many people. And I don't, I mean, somebody like me, everybody's made up their minds in a way. You say it, I mean, I say everybody, but obviously there's no such thing because people are coming onto the scene and falling off constantly. But the generation that is aware of my work is largely still there. And I suppose they're probably about 6 or 7 years younger than you. My lot are now basically in their early 50s.
And that's
Um,
your fan base?
my essential fan base, yeah.
Hmm.
There are some younger people and there are some older people, but so they've probably got another 15 years of being able to stand on their feet at shows, and then that's it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the MIM is a seated
The
theater.
MIM is seated so people can come in and make themselves comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. If you could go back and give yourself advice during the Soft Boys era, what would it be?
Ah, uh, my advice in the Soft Boys era
The start of your recording
would
career.
be probably um, just to keep on doing what I was doing and not worry about it. In the short term, during the Soft Boys time, I regretted a lot of the moves I'd made. I regretted not getting a proper management company. I regretted not signing a proper publishing deal. Um, I regretted not getting more involved with other musicians. Um, I and yet the end result has probably been as good as it possibly could have been. I own the masters to all those old records because nobody else wanted them. And so actually, I do quite well. Things that look like a goof, like a bad move at the time, in retrospect, seem to have paid off quite well. I do think I was an asshole, an asshole. I was an angry, insecure young man, as opposed to a sort of jaded old fellow. I was cynical before I needed to be cynical. Um, I think I'd have just told myself not to worry, that actually I was going to have a career, I'd be fine. If you told me 60 years ago that I was going to be lying on a sofa in LA talking into an oblong device to a man in Phoenix about an upcoming gig, I would have exploded with happiness. I've done everything that the 14-year-old me could possibly have hoped for myself. I used to read through Rolling Stone and read about people being in Santa Monica or Sacramento or indeed Phoenix or LA, and I think, God, look at those people going around on airplanes with their guitars. How unbelievably exciting must that be, having audiences and that kind of thing. And I've done it and I'm still able to do it, for which I am profoundly grateful. Um, and I think that's probably the big change over the last 50 years is I have a lot more gratitude for the people who've got me here and keep me here. I'm very touched that people want to come and see what I do and see what Emma and I do, uh, and I'm a bit less insecure because I know I've actually proved I can do it. I've done what I wanted to do, which was make a living out of writing songs, and I really couldn't ask for more than that. So, in my own mind, I think I feel, you know, like I'm a success.
Oh, yeah, I would say you're a success. But was there ever a moment when you consciously aimed for a hit song or an album, or has that never appealed to you?
I never did. And I suppose if I was to open the regret box a bit more, I would regret the times that I let myself be seduced by record labels and people into trying to do that, or the misunderstandings I had with record labels.
Mhm.
Um, a record label is there to make money. It's not there to It's not a philanthropic organization designed to spread art. It likes to, or used to anyway. There were times when it did, and they would hire A&R people who knew a lot about music, and they would be pushing the envelope that these moves are artistic, but they're fundamentally not. They're financial. They have to be just to keep everybody paid. I mean, I'm talking really probably more about 40 years ago than what's happening now because I've no idea what major labels do anymore. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely with A&M, they encouraged us to want to sell more records than we needed to. They encouraged us to make videos that weren't really we didn't have control over. And they encouraged that nobody ever tampered with my songwriting, but they definitely tried to make it sound more generic at certain points.
In the
Um,
production?
well, production, yeah, but I think actually not very often. I think maybe one album, Perspex Island, they threw a lot of money at that, and they thought they were going to make, they thought they were going to kind of break down the wall and sell me to the masses, but it wasn't really going to happen. Um, I'm not really designed for mass consumption. I wouldn't be able to deal with the psychic pressure of being a very well-known person. I'm still shocked when people come up and identify me or say hello. Um, I like to be fairly anonymous and fairly private. It's great to be respected for what you do, and I'm sure I would love the financial security of having a bigger turnover, but at the same time, I don't really want to be a public figure, and I've never really been comfortable with it. Um, I'm pretty fussy about things in a way, and I like that. So yeah, I have been, but not a lot. I I can't really be changed. I can't be made into something that I'm not. It doesn't work. I'm
Right, right. It doesn't work, but David Bowie was always a very avant-garde artist, and then he came out with Let's Dance. Um, so you could like,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was very good. David Bowie was very good at pushing high art or his idea of it, like side two of Low and side two of Heroes, and at the same time coming up with pop songs, things that, the masses could groove to. People could jump up and down in their boots to and beat each other up to and vomit on a Friday night listening to. Um, I don't think I write the odd catchy song, but you know, I think David Bowie also, and there's a big difference. One of the big differences, I think, was David Bowie was prepared to see himself as product. Did you go to the David Bowie exhibition? Oh, hang on.
You still there?